statistical, so unpredictable, here on SNL Stats.
Yes, that is right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Brooklyn Nine-Nine coverage on SNL Stats. It's week number 3, where we are talking about episodes 5 and 6, and it is 9/9/15 as we talk live on YouTube about the 2 episodes that happened tonight, and we have got a great panel to talk through it all. Joining us once again this week, I'm so happy. It's the a reunion. We were together last week, and we are together again. TJ and Jay are together again. TJ, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be on a podcast with the Saturday Night Project guy. I'm looking forward to this chat.
Yeah, this will be good. I'm excited. Always great to hear from the Saturday Night Project guy. So joining us is Mr. Robert Finn. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. And thank you, King Compliment, sure. Living up to your name.
Yeah, well, Rob, it's been a little bit since we talked to you. So what are you up to?
Today I told you guys already that my air conditioner broke for a little while, so that wasn't good, but
hot day.
Turned on just in time for the show. Now I'm ready to jump in.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for joining us, Rob. Always great to hear your thoughts, and I can't wait to talk about some Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Joining us for the first time, making his debut on SNL Stats, is Sean Grant. Sean, how are you doing?
Man, I'm feeling good. Blessed to be here, man, with you knowledgeable gentlemen. I can't wait to talk.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on, Sean. When we spoke a couple of months back, I knew you'd be a perfect fit to talk about SNL and everything else that is happening around, SNL adjacent shows. So I'm excited to get into it. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Oh, for sure, man. I've been a stand-up comedian for about 15 years now, starting when I was 18. I live in LA. I got a show this Friday at the Laugh Factory Long Beach, and I'm at the Ha Ha Club next week. I'm excited to talk about this episode. Episode 5, because the homie Craig Robinson's in there. I've done shows with him around town, and so yeah, man, I'm excited to that you made me watch this show, John. Thank you. Not that you made me, I lied to you to get this job, man. I just wanted exposure as a comedian. And so I lied, and he said, "Hey, you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?" I said, "I watch it all the time." And I had to binge these last 2 weeks, man, because I lied to get a job. So hopefully I don't embarrass myself. I'm going to be saying piggyback a lot, and hope y'all don't expose me.
Listeners, that's pure dedication. It's like Sean is my Doug Judy, where he just manipulates me. That's what happens here. So,
damn it, Judy! Oh,
damn it, Sean. So I'm so excited to talk through these episodes. TJ, we got to catch up with you last week. We had a very exciting panel talking through everything from episodes 3 and 4. Where is your head at talking about episodes 5 and 6?
Well, first of all, that last week's episode of recording, that was something else. I just want to reiterate that I don't have a nerd fetish, as was tried to be implicated on me from last week's episode. My head with this is me wondering, is this season of television going to go much darker? I'm really kind of wondering, are they going to go I know they can go serious sometimes and dramatic, and it's good to kind of bring the weight of the show down sometimes. Not down as in bad, down as in to add some gravity to it. But there's something about these 2 episodes here that really make me wonder if there's something they're going to do with that last episode that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say what it is I think they might be trying to set up.
Don't leave the listeners on edge. Tell us what you think. Where are you feeling?
There was something about when what Rosa has been saying to Jake, and what Doug Judy was saying to Jake in episode 5 specifically, what Rosa's been saying throughout the season, and what Doug Judy said in episode 5, and a little bit of what happened to Jake in episode 6. And it really makes you wonder if this show is going to end with Jake instead leaving the police force. I mean, we know Jake loves being a police officer. His whole life is centered around it. He looks at them as heroes, but he's having that mirror shown up a lot. And our Jake Peralta is no villain whatsoever. He is a good hero character, but it really makes you wonder if given what happened back in June of 2020 will change what they originally wanted to end the show doing. I don't know. There's something about a couple of conversations they had that made me wonder that.
Rob?
It's completely. I was actually going to mention, and I'm remembering this anecdotally, so I'm not 100% sure, but I know that they had written completely 5 episodes and then got rid of them, right? I mean, you probably discussed that in the last weeks, but so the fact that they did that, to me, points to something, like a big culmination at the end of the season. And I hope that they do something like that. Like the moments when it gets real, it's more enjoyable when, we'll talk about it when Holt is yelling at the representative from the union at the end of episode 6. Yeah. It's just, I was hanging on every word, and I was like, they wrote that. They probably wrote that 15 times and made it so it was a perfect representation of what they wanted to say, said from the most arguably respectable guy on the show. So I don't know if it's gonna end with something bad, or not even bad, but just real. But I hope it does. Honestly, I like my laughs with a side of seriousness. So I hope that that's what it's building to.
Yeah, definitely. Sean, I mean, I know that you just binged a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and you got caught up really quickly on the season. So where is your head at about everything that you've seen through 6 episodes?
Well, the way the show is written, I mean, I'm a big fan of Groucho Marx. It seems to have like this crazy rhythm of just bang, bang, bang. So to me, it's almost hard for you to do something heavy and with that rhythm and still be successful. But they have been. That first episode, all right, TJ, I don't know, man. Maybe you can help me with this. I don't know, man. Like, it's hard when it's hard when black folk can't win in a show, like when the black lady was getting harassed and beat up, and still I don't feel like that was resolved well. But then the Doug Judy episode, I was pleased with that. I was like, okay, great. In a world where everybody talks like Groucho Marx, we can still have some justice for black folks, man. So that was real challenging, I thought, for somebody to, within this rhythm, deal with these things and it be taken seriously. Unlike All in the Family and all these other old shows where you can grab something serious, the rhythm was such that you could change gears and shift it. Good times. This show was just so, rhythmically comedic that they stepped up to the challenge, I think. And we'll see, man. I think, like you said, that last few minutes of episode 6, where he's talking to O'Sullivan, and they're, making cops, talking about pretty much police reform. I thought that was heavy and well done and wasn't cheesy or anything. It just felt like, something that needs to be talked about. So I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I think one thing, by the way, are we sponsored by Burger King? Can he say that? No. No, I think one thing that doesn't help the show, it's weird. There's something that doesn't help the show and also helps it is. So you're talking about that Groucho Marx like speed that the show has, and I just realized an issue that I've been having when we're doing these shows live is when we did like SNL or like That Damn Michael Che coverage, I watched the show a couple of times and then, we talked about it. I had like a lot of prep. With these Brooklyn Nine-Nine ones, they're a lot harder because this show is not only, I'm not streaming something. I can't pause at all. And so it's like, since it's networking and then we're going live, it's so quick. I'm noticing the speed at which this show goes so much more now. And I think largely that it might also be because it's a network show. It's not your BoJack Horseman or your Dead to Me on like Netflix or something that's going to have maybe an extra 4 or 5 minutes of runtime so that they can actually like pad it like a little bit. So we're noticing that speed so much more. And it's good. It's going to make it like, it's going to be a lot more noticeable when the show slows itself down to give Rosa or Terry or Holt like, a really like serious heavy gravity moment. But I think the thing that helps the show is Andre Brower. Is in a show where a lot of people tend to act like Muppets, like very silly, very animated kind of characters. Melissa Fumero is a very like physical person when she performs. It's very funny. and Andre Braugher, his character is so serious and it's so heavy. So whenever he does bring us a moment of gravitas, I never feel like the show is changing a beat. Yeah, maybe when Terry or when like Rosa like has it and it still works completely. But there's something about when Holt like goes from like, saying that he's huffy to like laying into O'Sullivan, that I feel like the show, whenever it wants to, can really go into that like not dramatic, but that like serious tone space so much more quickly than we kind of like have given it credit for, like in eight like seasons of like television. I don't know. Does that make sense with you guys? Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, it definitely does. I think basically what I'm getting is the same thing you guys are, which is the show is going like 100 miles an hour for a lot of the plot points, except when it comes to making those serious speeches, like let's say in episode 1 or, towards the ends of episode 6, it's like everything slows down. And I think that's what makes those moments so beautiful in this show in particular, is that it's like the juxtaposition between the show being so quick-witted all the time and then the show honestly just like taking a step back from that and having like real conversations that are in, almost in real time at that point, that makes those moments even more powerful. So I absolutely agree and love what you're saying. Rob, did you want to jump in there?
The thing that it reminded me of for the show specifically, the last time it was something that was serious, not as much on like a societal scale as this is, obviously, but I remember, I think it's like the end of season 2 or season 3 when Holt gets transferred out of the precinct and he's given like a speech to them and they're all like joking around. And then he, even like as he's talking, switches the tone and starts to get serious and starts to choke up. And they cut to Jake like reacting to him like that. And even Jake is like, what is this? I don't like this. And it's almost like a similar reaction that I have as an audience member, where it's like a smooth transition into it, but it's so it's only, you could only do it with that character. When if Jake tries to get serious on a dime, it's just like, yeah, you're a big goofball, you're gonna make a Die Hard reference in 2 seconds. But with Andre Braugher, he's just honestly, when I first had seen the show, I was like, what an interesting choice for a clearly comedic, fast, kind of almost 30 Rock style jokes going line after line after line. And God, he's the best. He anchors the show.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
There's also something like, just echoing what you said, Rob, like when it's so much more pulling when Andre Braugher like says something in the variety of emotions. And I think the one that like hits me the most is that moment where he has this heartfelt grin, but it's not when he's like, it's not a happy heartfelt grin that Holt gets. It's when it's like there's something like really serious and he's like almost gonna cry. There's something he does.
He's happy, TJ.
No, I'm not. It's Rob pointed to the perfect scene that I'm thinking of that like is the one I'm like, why am I crying at Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Like, or why am I like about to tear up? Like he really can just do that to us all the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Sean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like with that same with Holt and his the storyline with his partner. I hope they get back to that, because I love any storyline about love trying to survive. They've been together 20 years, is that right? And they're going through a separation. That is, I don't think they touched on that episode 5 and 6, but any story about people staying in love is way more interesting to me than falling in love. Falling in love is easy, but like those stories, and there's very few of them about people rekindling love or finding it again. So yeah, everything that's been dealing with him is pretty heavy, and he's the actor for it, I believe, man.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I've really liked that they've done this season, to echo Sean, is they've kind of shown the more difficult part of being in the relationship rather than getting into it. And I'm somebody who's a gigantic fan of when relationships kind of get that more realistic look at it. Or sometimes, to be honest, I'm kind of a bigger fan of when like a movie or show will have characters experience the loss of love, like your 500 Days of Summer, La La Land, Blue Valentine. I think the Before Midnight series is like a good example. Before Sunset. It's besides the point. there's something to be said because we've all once you get to I feel like once you get to a certain age, it is a very good assumption to say maybe once you've hit maybe like I don't know 25, 30, you've had your heart broken at least once. And there's just something about knowing that you're not like alone when you see like 1,000 Hallmark or like Netflix Christmas movies about like romance saying that, hey, all you need is to like put on a puffy vest, buy like a Subaru, and like she's the like you'll find the one. Like I really like it when they like I hope it ends.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm not gonna lie. If they end up in a divorce, I'm not gonna be mad because I'd like the realness of it, but I do like seeing the problems.
I mean, this is the Men Talking About Love podcast tonight. That's what we're here for. So
come on, men need to talk about love. Men are like emotional, like sensitive creatures. Like you know, I love talking about love.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, does anybody want to jump in on any other the like overarching stuff before we get into the episodes? Because I do want to recap them, and then anyone could jump in on anything.
I do. There's something. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, after you. Please.
There was something that Sean said about like, you know, why can't black folks never get a win? I really was feeling that when I was watching and I was like, oh, Doug Judy. Okay, cool. So like what kind of fun thing are they going to do with them? I was like, this is the Pontiac Bandit episode. This is great. Terry loves love. Sorry, that Okay.
Should I go to Rob or you
yeah, no, it's fine. That phrase, what was it? Biggie put that in the comments. Oh my God. Okay. No, let's go to Sean. I completely forgot what I was saying.
I think Rob wanted to jump in. Rob, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say the fact that they did the Kevin and Holt separation thing was, I almost felt when they said that, I was like, man, how are they going to cover like marital problems and all of the levels and aspects of police reform that I know that they want to attack in this one season? And thus far, they've been doing a great job of it. But I was like, you got so much other stuff to talk about. I can't believe you're throwing a possible divorce in the mix between these two. And, just as I think they're hilarious and great and everything. So, but it's, it just was one thing. I kind of went into it thinking, I know what there's going to be a lot of heavy talk about specifics with the police reform. And I loved I don't want to keep talking about the first episode, but I'm one of the good guys, not just one of the ones who says the good guys. I was like, perfect representation. And I thought that was going to be, wow, so much to talk. And then they throw this in. I was like, wow, must have been a busy writer's room, to say the least.
Yeah. For sure. And there's a lot of good here. And I just want to get into these episodes and then we can bring up anything later on, because I know that people who are watching and listening, whether it's after the fact, they want to talk about what we saw tonight, which was really exciting. TJ, we've been talking about it. When is Doug Judy going to get there? What episode is that going to be? We've been waiting for some cameos. So this is the Doug Judy episode number 5. We finally get it. And guys, the way that I've done this the last couple of weeks is I'm going to throw out a plot point. Unmute yourself if you want to just jump in on something, and hopefully we'll just make sure not to talk over each other, but we'll start talking about stuff. And really, episode 5, unlike every other episode we've seen this season, has one plot point, and it takes you all the way through the half an hour. And I loved to see that. I love that juxtaposition of what we've seen previously. So we start off and we get Trudy Judy and Dog Judy are going on a trip, and Doug Judy gets arrested. We see Jake go to the prison and asks, how come you got arrested? Is there another cop in your life? Turns out Doug Judy was driving a Target and a guy rear-ended him, and he did have an arrest warrant out in a different state, I believe. So he is going back to prison, and Jake wants to drive him. So who was excited to see Doug Judy here?
This is, now I'm remembering what I was trying to say. Come on, Doug. Like, come on, man. Like, why did the last episode, this really felt bleak. Honestly, I think this might have been the episode I liked the least the entire season so far, because now granted, I'm also black, so I hate to see black people get put down. I'm biased. I realize that. Like, anybody is infallible. But I was like, I feel like there's so much else they could have done with this character besides giving him an Orange is the New Black ending where he's going to jail. Like, it just, come on, man. Like, great. They had all the great, honestly, why not just put Doug Judy and Jake on a road trip to solve a crime rather than have Doug Judy have to like take responsibility. It just felt like such an odd beat. Now, granted, I will say the one thing that they did that like I really, really liked is because for the past 7 seasons, Doug Judy has felt like more of like a cartoon villain, which is fine. I love this show because it can be so animated. But there was something about they made Doug Judy, I'm misstating because I've watched the show for 8 years and I've rewatched it a few times altogether. But I mean, there may be something I'm missing, so I'm stating something while understanding that I might be forgetting a small piece of the show history. But there was a moment that I was like, oh, they're acknowledging that like Doug Judy's black in just the sentence when he says, I first got arrested or something when I was 22. And ever since then, when I got out or whatever, I couldn't get a job because I had a record. Granted, I don't think that has to do with him being black. I think that's more just acknowledging the actual struggles of like being somebody who like came out of jail. Now I know the show, it's not Orange is the New Black. They're not talking about, you know, prison reform. That show was on Netflix, ended on Netflix 2 years ago. But it was something in that sentence that was like they were kind of acknowledging like even Doug Judy might have problems. He's not just this like that character from that Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks movie, the guy that's always getting away. He's not just I don't know. You guys might know who I'm talking about.
Catch me if you can.
Great movie, but I can't remember the name of the guy Leo plays. But I please listeners don't yell at me. But like it sorry, go ahead, Rob. Oh, okay. No, it just something about making him a little bit more realistic in just that sentence, besides being Jake's best friend. And I felt like they acknowledged so much more the aspect of like how Jake could be fired for the stupid decisions he was kind of making this time. Yeah, I don't know. I also just hate like
Well, TJ, let me get Sean and Rob in on this one if you don't mind, and then you'll follow up with your other points about the Doug Judy stuff. Sean, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. You know, it's crazy, and I say this from a place of complete ignorance, as somebody just introduced to the show who hasn't seen a prior Doug Judy episode. But that was my favorite episode that I've ever seen or casually seen. Just because you got Craig Robinson doing musical comedy with Andy Samberg. And like you said, that could have been in any context, though. That could have been them going anywhere. And then I've never seen what that character does. So I guess maybe he's done that before, the switching stuff and the misdirection stuff. So to me, that was all new. And the experience was amazing. And I thought that them addressing recidivism, when people keep going back to jail, whatever the word is. But I felt like maybe that had been something they talked about before, how, they build prisons for the statistics of, 4th grade black kids in certain areas. You know what I mean? That's how they know how big to build prisons so there's somewhere for these children to go. My birth father's in prison. And that's every black person usually knows or has a family member that's in the prison industrial system. Because of vagrancy laws and all that. But I thought that was something that was always there with him, and we weren't really being introduced to that. So I didn't know that it was just in that one little line. I thought we always kind of understood that about Doug Judy, that he's a part of this trap, and so if it was just now, I don't know what he was like before, so my bad. If this is just being introduced, then maybe it is a little insensitive. But I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was fun, and he got out. The brother got out. He's in Amsterdam chilling, and that's good enough for me. Black man win.
For sure. Sean, thank you for sharing that. I actually don't know if they have addressed that stuff specifically with Doug Judy in previous seasons. It's always been about the relationship between Jake and Doug Judy, and Doug Judy being the nemesis and having this little bit of a joke. But I think, between them all the time, they're always joking with each other, always manipulating each other. And I think that what they did is they took Doug Judy's character in the context of what's happening this season and everything with the police reform. And they basically said, how do we do this Doug Judy episode that we always plan to do in this final season, but give it a little bit of a tweak, like give it a little bit of a different tone And I think they did that successfully, in my opinion. Like, I liked, maybe it wasn't the overall storyline or the direction we wanted to go, but I think as far as like within the storyline itself, I think they had a lot of success. Rob, did you want to jump in on the overall Doug Judy's plotline?
Yeah, I think that when I was reading about them rewriting episodes and everything, knowing that there would be a Doug Judy episode, as there was one every season, was immediately what had come to mind. And in my prediction thought, it was I thought it was going to be a situation where he was unfairly intimidated, harassed, followed, and then Jake was brought in and kind of his eyes opened up to the system, because he's just someone that is so close to him that it's, it gets so much realer when it's someone that has been his friend for years. So I thought that it was going to be in that direction. And then in the end, it would be that, he gets out and everybody's happy. It felt, I kept waiting for there to be the twist that he had made it all up. And he was like, Jake, I did this because, I'm not actually going to prison. Here's what's going on, in the same way that he did with the bachelor party. When you find out that he put the whole thing together and had his friends get sent away after they stole the diamonds or whatever that was. I was just like, when's that coming? When's that coming? And then it ended the say I love you. And I was like, no, that's for real. He's just in Amsterdam. And obviously they said, I love you to the end. I would be blown away if we saw him again. And that makes me sad.
Yeah, I think that's it for our Doug Judy character. TJ, you want to jump in here before I start getting into the plot line?
Yeah, I was just echoing Rob. That was me the entire episode. I was like, this can't be the plot. Come on, like, it can't be that they're going. I feel like ending with him going to Amsterdam, like, I get that some people will find it as like a happy ending, but in my mind, it's just like Jake just like helped somebody like escape, and it feels like a little bit out of character for him. Granted, maybe it makes more sense for him to do it rather than like Charles or Amy, because they would never do something like that. But it felt a little cheap, and it still felt weird that Doug was intentionally trying to escape him. It felt like something they would have done in season 3. It just felt it felt weird. Don't get me wrong, I loved a lot of stuff in this episode, especially Tigers and Tukes, but like it just felt weird to me as somebody who has watched the show over and over and loves the Doug Judy episodes and loves Craig Robinson and the chemistry between him and Andy Samberg, and getting to see what an inkling of an idea of like Andy Samberg calling up Craig Robinson and saying, hey, do you want to come into the Lonely Island studio to do a quick feature on an album? I mean, hey, they're still releasing music, so who knows if it could happen on the next album. But I was like, oh, that was really fun. But it just, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It felt bittersweet to me.
For sure. I get that. And I don't think this was one of the better Doug Judy episodes. Like, I think, Sean, like, eventually, if you go and look at the back catalog of all the Doug Judys, I think you'll see that there are some better episodes here. I didn't hate this one, but I certainly totally understand where you guys are coming from. Let's talk through it. So Jake goes to prison and meets Doug Judy and says he's going to drive him, or he was in wherever he's being held, and is going to drive him to prison. And Jake decides he's going to plan some sexy ass surprises for him along the way. And the whole episode, he's talking about focusing on the journey, not the destination. He wants Doug Judy to enjoy these surprises. So we get a few of them. We get a 1979 Pontiac Trans Am. We get Jake and Judy outfit change, which is a classic staple for the PB&J. The Tigers and Toucans. We get that a lot throughout this episode. We get the PB&J rings. They get into the car. They got to bust out those bar mitzvah beats, which I guess that's where my area of expertise comes in, the bar mitzvah beats. I thought this was great. And they end up doing a rap where they're talking about premium open toe shoes, which I thought this was hilarious, guys. Anybody else agree with this?
Oh yeah. Great. Too good. The way that I love whenever that there's something that happens that truly would never happen in real life, like them coming up with that at the exact same time and doing that, and then they acknowledge that would never happen. That to me makes it all the funnier. Like, it's when Jake turns, was like, I can't believe we just did that. We never rehearsed it. I was like, I love this even more now. It just like adds an extra layer of like self-awareness, and to me adds an extra layer of humor on top of it. So couldn't not love that part.
Yeah.
I love how Rob just private chatted me slurp slurp, and I forgot that was in the show. I said, "What you say, man?" I got scared when I saw a hashtag slurp slurp. I said, well, "Hey, boy, hold on, wait till the show is over, Rob."
Yeah. Catchphrase. It's his catchphrase, man. You know it.
I remember now. I forgot about it.
Slurp,
Yeah,
slurp. Yo, he says it all the time. It's his catchphrase. Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't seen it.
Yeah, you haven't seen it. John, you know, he says it all the time.
That's so funny.
All right, can we also like take a quick? Oh, by the way, so I love any Brooklyn Nine-Nine outfit change. My favorite moment is the one where there's one where like Jake comes out and does a full kick in the air, and like Amy has to come in behind him, and she's just sad. So like seeing him slide over the car to that music. Whatever they do, those quick, like little slow-mo, like outfit change, and Jace gets so excited. It's some of my favorite like moments in the show. By the way, we do need a tiny, quick millisecond to just shout out Nicole Byer, who is amazing. She did not get her due justice with this episode, but Nicole Byer is somebody I love. Whenever she shows up, she is hysterical. I listen to a few of her podcasts. I think she's amazing. She's awesome. So I love that they added her in the late game. And so if you guys, I think Nicole Byer is she's hysterical. Oh, also her podcast game is incredible.
For sure.
Audition for SNL.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Rob throwing out some facts over there. Yeah,
okay, all right.
2013.
Yeah,
2013.
2013.
Yeah, that's
I wonder
really
if that's how she met Andy. Okay, all right.
Oh, that's
Good
interesting.
Yeah.
I think Andy left in 2012, but yes, that is interesting. So it's possible they cross paths at one point. Yeah, but really, just honestly, he does all these things. He does all the sexy ass surprises. Jake, I thought actually this was a great moment in the car where Jake admits that he memorized all the lyrics to Folklore, which is very funny for me, who knows a lot of guys who love Taylor Swift.
Wait, knows a lot of guys who love Taylor Swift, or do you love Taylor Swift?
I do like Taylor Swift. I'm not
Do you love Taylor Swift?
My boy Mike Murray loves Taylor Swift, our SNL Stats guru.
What?
Yeah. He definitely has memorized all the lyrics to Folklore for sure.
Wow.
He's one of those.
How about that?
So Jake and Judy, they smorgasborded, they get all the food, everything is going great, except Boyle shows up, and Boyle is pretty upset. Obviously, he interferes. He doesn't want any other best friends for Jake. So he comes in. They go into Charles's van, and Judy says he's going to escape. And we get this whole scene in the van where we find out that Judy's catchphrase is slurp slurp, and it's been that way for a very long time. We get to learn a little bit about Judy's background, which he spoke about, how he wanted to be the Black Edward Scissorhands, which was, I was like, what? I thought that was great. And they end up deciding to do some high stakes trivia to decide who is the better friend. Sean, anything you saw here that you liked?
Yeah, well, like I said, man, I loved it. It was action packed to me. Now, I will disagree. I think he said McDonald's fries are the best. And as a grown man, I would definitely go Chick-fil-A fries. And what were the other ones, Scott? I was trying to remember them all, but
Wendy's Nuggets. Wendy's Nuggets were involved.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I can see that. The spicy nub. If you go spicy with that.
Yeah.
If you go, this is some controversial statements.
Yeah, man. When he did that, I said, "Wait a minute, you got to slow that down. Let me analyze."
No, I mean you, brother. I
me?
mean you. Yes, you, sir. Chick-fil-A fries are the best fries. Come on, man. Don't disrespect McDonald's like that. When McDonald's fries are piping hot, when they got them volcano fries that'll give you those burns. Come on, man.
You gotta go to the hood one where they throw all that salt on there, that extra salt.
That's true.
That bucket of salt on that thing, man. That'll hurt you though. My tongue get hurt now. I'm too old for them fries.
Oh my
I got class now, brother. I done graduated to Chick-fil-A. Waffle fries.
That's how you know our brother's doing well. He goes to Chick-fil-A, not McDonald's.
Oh, yeah. They get a little customer service. Yeah, they give you good customer service in there, man. But,
yeah, we got to get our marketing team to put that out everywhere so that everybody knows. This was so great. Honestly, the questions that we had, I love seeing. So first we got, what is Jake's middle name? And he says, we find out that his middle name is Jeffrey, but he tells people it's Zach, like Zach Morris. And being a huge Saved by the Bell fan myself, that I totally understand. So coming from one of the white guys on this panel.
He was the coolest guy in the world.
Yeah,
I've never seen Saved by the Bell.
Whoa!
I've heard of it a bunch of times.
Whoa! Violation! Violation, man! I watched it when it was what was it at first? Good Morning, Miss Bliss, or something like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Saved by the Bell is a spinoff.
Yeah. For one season, it was there with Zach and Screech, and then they ended up moving it to Saved by the Bell. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, that was great.
My bad. I mean,
all good. We could do another podcast on that. Favorite Knicks memory. We got favorite Knicks memory when they fired Phil Jackson. I thought this was pretty good. And we end up going through these questions, and we get to one final question, which was, does Doug Judy have an earring? And panel, this was my question. I had no idea. Did anybody know if he had the earring?
I'm so upset because I can totally picture him with the diamond stud. And when Andy Samberg said diamond stud, I was like, yeah, it's like the does Stanley have a mustache question? It's like,
right, exactly.
Yeah,
thank you. Same thing.
Yeah, am I bugging? I would almost bet you can see it. You can picture it. It's a trap. Is what it is. Call Admiral Akbar because that's a trap. That's what that is.
I think he wears a hoop in them Pizza Hut commercials. I think so. I'm gonna go back and watch. But I think that it was meant to trick us because I think he wears a hoop sometimes.
I could so clearly picture him. I'm gonna have to go back and look because I swear in one of the earlier seasons when they meet up in like a parking lot, I remember him coming out and I swear he had a diamond stud earring because I think I remember being like, oh, nice, Doug Judy, he's blinging it up, and I can see it so perfectly. That it's also, I'm assuming, does Stanley have a mustache of The Office? And now you have me thinking, I don't know. I can't believe of all my time in discussing TV, weird stuff like that, I've never seen that question. And I wonder, don't know.
Rob, does Daryl have an earring? That's the question, because maybe that's what we're thinking of, and we'd have to go back and check that out. Also, TJ Monette in the chat says TJ always manages to alienate someone on the panel. It's his thing now. So
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So this really yeah, for sure. This confused me. I didn't know if he had the earring, but it turns out it was nothing but Loeb. But it turns out this is all like a twist and a twist and a twist because he gets Estelle Mindermint, which is the I don't know what that was, which is the code word for a twist. They think they played each other. Jake ends up texting Captain Holt, but Judy had really gone into Jake's phone earlier on and changed all the phone numbers, and he really ends up texting Trudy Judy. So they try and escape in the Boyle bus. It tops out at 50. They keep going, and they decide to switch to a car, which is a piece of junk. And they keep going, and they keep trying to get along on this trip. This was the part of the episode which I felt like was a little bit like long in the tooth. I felt like it was like one too many things for me. I thought it was funny when Rosa called and sang to wish Judy good luck, but I don't know. I really felt like I was waiting for more here.
It's the term like hat on a hat, I felt has never been more appropriate, where I wanted to, when he kept, like, when he thought that the person who was escorting him wasn't sure with him, and there was like a moment in the car they kept kind of going back and forth. I wanted it to be a like more enjoyable interaction, but part of it might have been the reason that I wasn't enjoying as much as I wanted to is because I kept waiting, again, like we mentioned before, for the true final twist to happen where everyone's happy and it was all, a giant ruse and he was never going to prison to begin with. So I think that colored my enjoyment and viewing experience when I just kept being like, all right, when are we doing the right thing? When is it going to happen? But
for sure,
yeah, that was my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there, guys, I don't know if there's much here, but like we get the whole talk about how Jake could sell Zayn Malik a house, the guy from One Direction. I thought that was cute, and that was pretty funny. But it's really not until the end of the episode when we get the character of Vince Michael Thompson, who comes in and wants to kill Jake, that I feel like it kind of all came together. Am I right, Sean?
Oh yeah, I love that part, man. I love the exchange. Like, what's wrong with you, man? And that he came through for the homie. How the Estelle thing came back. That callback right there was perfect. And yeah, man, that felt good, man. I don't know, man. My bad. I think I hate to disagree with you, expert gentlemen, but man, I love that.
Dude, that's what you're here for. You're here to give us your thoughts. So I love it when somebody disagrees on the panel. That's perfect. It's exactly what we need. So then basically the episode ends where Judy decides he's gonna finally stand up for Jake and turns on the backup who's come there. He shoots or kicks Vince Michael Thompson, and then they get arrested, and then Judy ends up going to prison, and Jake and Judy hug. And we get this flash forward 2 weeks later. Doug Judy calls Jake to thank him. And we get this, shot where we see he's wearing like an orange shirt. So you assume that Judy's in jail, but it turns out he really escaped prison. He is in Amsterdam. And we get this like really nice way to wrap it all up, which is Jake actually gave him a pen, which helped him escape the handcuffs. We see this moment at the beginning of the episode, and then we see it again to bookend at the end of the episode. And that is what I assume is a wrap on Doug Judy for the series. So, Sean, you want to jump in here?
Oh yeah, no, I just I knew the twist was coming, man, because if you've ever talked to somebody in prison, it will constantly tell you that you're talking to somebody in prison. Like there's a recording that goes, you are talking to somebody at the such and such correctional facility. That's why it's always shocking to me when somebody says something crazy that they use in court. I don't know if you've ever seen that, if you watch Dateline at all, but that happens all the time. And I'm like, they remind you literally every 60 seconds that you are talking to an inmate. Obviously, they would have left that out in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as a TV show. But still, I felt something was wrong. I was like, man, he's not in jail. I knew it.
Yeah, that's so while you're having a conversation with somebody who's on phone in prison, there is like a voice that comes like over your phone call. Is that what it is? Constantly letting you know. I didn't know that.
But you talk for a while to somebody and you will just not notice it anymore. But yeah, if you talk to somebody who's in prison for, definitely county. When I talk to somebody in county, yeah, it's constantly like, yo, you are talking to somebody, you're talking to an inmate at the such and such correctional facility. Constantly, just to make sure that you're being recorded and that things you say, if I say, hey man, something about your case or whatever, it will be used in a court of law.
Interesting. Okay, well, I guess that's something to look for in
I'm
future
a prison
shows,
expert. I mean, I know a lot about this show, but I'm a prison expert.
That is not why I brought you on tonight, Sean. So, but
yes. And you're gonna keep bringing me on. That's why you're gonna keep bringing me on.
Exactly.
In all my years of listening to podcasts and podcasting, I have never heard the phrase "I am a prison expert." Mm-hmm. Sir, you've just surprised me. Congratulations.
Yes, never been, and I've never been, but I know how to. That's why I'm an expert. If I wasn't an expert, I'd be in prison. But I'm a prison expert because I know how to stay out.
Then you wouldn't be here, so we wouldn't have
exactly. What if I broke out to do this podcast? What if
Oh man, that would be people would find you. We are live on YouTube.
This could be a prison cell, low key. The way the room is set up right now, this could easily be a prison cell.
Just with the calendar.
Yeah, just a calendar. No clock. That's how you know.
I'm not taking any responsibility for arguing that the black man in the white ballroom with the calendars in prison right now do not make me.
You know what's crazy? Is you can see prisoners doing like videos on TikTok now. Like they got they got cell phones, and like you can see them like doing like TikTok dances and stuff. It's really funny.
You know how to get them in there, don't you?
What? No, man. You know what? When you said like everyone knows somebody, like every black person knows somebody in jail, I was like, I don't know anybody. But you know what? I used to I used to how do I say this correctly? There was an old friend of mine. She's engaged to a guy who's in prison.
There you go.
But he's not black though. He's Latinx. I think he is. Yeah.
I don't want to jump the what we're talking about, which is that the listeners are going to be wondering, how do you get a cell phone into prison? So my assumption is it's through Ass Cheese, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
John,
Okay.
no, Sean, you don't know what he's referencing, which is why.
He
No.
watched the episodes.
No, oh, he did. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, no, and in years of watching also Orange is the New Black over and over, here I am thinking, okay, I know a little bit about prison because this show has taught me some things, and I went and looked some stuff up, and I never knew that like little detail. That's so much fun, and I've known this friend of mine. I've known them for a while. This friend that like has been engaged to this person that is in prison. I've known them for a long time, so I'm always like, huh, that's an interesting detail that I never knew about.
Yeah, for sure. Broad, do you have anything else you want to wrap up for this episode 5? Anything final thoughts on the Doug Judy stuff?
I just wish that Doug, it had been a little bit of a happier ending for him. I hope he's having a blast in Amsterdam, but you know, yeah, I guess it's the what's the word I'm looking for? Positivity in me that wanted the show to end with everyone riding off into the sunset and everything being perfect. But with the type of things that they've been addressing this season, it can't be the goofy, funny show that I've come to know as much. Although, as I say it out loud, they were talking about, Holt dealing with homophobia in the first episode. So it's
for sure.
Maybe it's been a lot realer than I've even given it credit for. And now it's just, coming to a point where you can't ignore it.
For sure. TJ, you want to wrap this up?
Yes, I do. Honestly, there was some kind of dumb. This is all on me. There's some like dumb piece of my brain that was, with all the crazy characters that Brooklyn Nine-Nine was having, for some reason, I kept thinking about the 100th digital short from SNL, where it wasn't that. It was either the 100th digital short, or it was there was something about when Seth or Andy was leaving. There was like a filmed piece where like a bunch of characters, and I want to say including Stefan, it was either Stefan's wedding or the 100th digital short. I could be thinking of two different things there. I'm on the right podcast for the guys to correct me. But there's this moment where like all these crazy characters that I think either Stefan is referenced or that showed up in all the digital shorts show up together in this like one scene, like all these like crazy characters. And for some dumb reason in my brain, all I kept thinking was like, I wonder if they're gonna have some like really cool last episode. Everybody, like, like when shows bring all the characters together. Scrubs did it really well in the season 8 like closer. Like, are they gonna have like Doug, Judy, and everyone show up? But all I kept thinking about was like, oh yeah, a lot of their like really great guest stars are like enemies, like Sterling K. Brown, Ed Helms, the lady from the closer, Madeline Wunsch or whatever. Stefan's, thank you very much for correcting that. I appreciate it. Stefan's wedding, okay. Like all of those. They're all antagonists. A large amount of like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine like rogues gallery are people that they're enemies with, so they wouldn't be like a big party. But for some reason, and again, that's on me. I like the idea of seeing all those characters in some kind of big, last episode special.
For sure. See, we did have that a couple seasons ago. I think, Rob, were you gonna jump in on that and say that like a finale? Yeah,
I was going to say specifically that a show that did do bringing everyone back and they were antagonists, villains, whatever, was Seinfeld, where they brought them all back in a way at the end of the finale that they were, testifying against them in court. I don't know if it'd be possible to do that, but I get the sentiment that there's a good way to do that. And what, John, I think you were going to say is that like the Suicide Squad at the end of the season 6.
Exactly. We had the Vulture, we had Madeline Wunsch, and then I think we had the guy who replaced them as they replaced Holt as the police captain.
CJ.
It's Ken Marino playing CJ. Ken Marino is a hilarious person. He's hysterical.
For sure. Okay, so let's talk through episode 6. So a bomb was found on a bus in downtown Brooklyn. Jake is very excited, thinks this is Speed, wants to go defuse the bomb, gets there. Turns out it was just a bomb that was already defused. It was on a Marvelous Mrs. Maisel tour bus. That's a show that my mom watches. Then
I watch it too.
Okay. Funny show. Okay. All right. That's cool. So the FBI ends up taking over the case and ruins it. Agent Feingold from the FBI comes in, but Jake really, really wants to help. He ends up going out for drinks with Rosa, and he realizes that the guy wanted the bomb to go off at midnight. So he wants to go after this case. Anything here from the beginning of the episode, guys?
I thought we'll talk the bookend that it ultimately leads to, I think, is a perfect representation of Jake as a character, where it starts out with goofy enthusiasm, trying to do the right thing, guided by his idea in his brain of what the movies would be like, and him wanting to recreate that in real life. And I'm sure we'll talk about the ending, but ends not there. So yeah, I really thought it was smart and good how it was kicked off, almost in the same way that, you know, Die Hard has been reason he joined the force. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So then Jake decides he's going to go check out the lot. He realizes the IRS is right next to it. He starts having all these conspiracy theories in his head. He sees a guy with a backpack in the lot and chases him and arrests him. But the guy ends up, not being the right guy. He ends up suing Jake for a wrongful arrest. And he goes, uncool, 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 which I thought was so great for Jake's catchphrase. And meanwhile, while this is happening, O'Sullivan ends up reaching a truce, or wants to reach a truce with Amy. So she ends up threatening Amy. And there's this whole other storyline that these two things end up merging together, where Jake thinks it's a setup. O'Sullivan wants to defend the cops, and Amy and Rosa have to get involved. So I thought it was interesting how all these characters came together. Sean, did you like this?
I'll be honest, man. Again, speaking from complete ignorance, compared to the episode 5, I wasn't a big fan of this one, man. Like, for so many reasons. But I'll say, okay, definitely with the with that storyline, with the for one, I don't like the movie Speed. I just never got into that movie. Oh shoot, Rob, what happened?
No stress. I'm sure he'll join us.
I made Rob leave. My bad. That's how bad my take is. Rob said, "I'm out, man." Boom. But yeah, I just, one of the things was I didn't understand the candy drive. Definitely didn't understand that. But I guess maybe that's a thing cops do. I didn't know. One thing I learned, I didn't know that not all cops were in the patrolmen's union, which that's why it was so confusing earlier in the season when I saw them in an adversarial relationship with O'Sullivan. I was like, I get the maybe captain or, the higher authorities being in an adversarial relationship with the union, but not the patrolman. But apparently Jake is not in the union. So that checks out. That makes sense. Then the other thing that kept annoying me is who's watching Jake and Amy's baby. Like, yeah, because that was such a big deal. I'm a jerk. That's a jerk move to be concerned about that. But
no, but you're right. They've been talking about this for so many episodes now, and that's a great plot hole.
Then they're clearly one's at a bar, one's in a in a parking lot chasing a man, and I'm like, well, where's the baby? But so that bothered me. But that's because I'm a jerk, and I didn't mean to think about that. But my bad. TJ about to let me have it. Go on, give it to me.
No. Actually, no. Maybe all I'm saying is, hey guys, it's a TV baby. It'll be okay. Like, it's a fake baby. I don't care where this baby is at. I don't care what
no umbilical cord, Tommy. This is TV. Sorry, that's
I don't care where Mrs. Maisel's baby is. I don't care where Leslie Knope's baby is. I definitely don't care where Jake and Amy's. I don't care where these babies are. They can have them, but they are just plot points. I don't care what these babies are. Man, forget these babies.
You know what? I think it's a long-standing thing in black sitcoms where you have to explain a lot of the things. That's why it was so funny in Martin when Tommy didn't have a job, because if you compare that to white sitcoms, you don't know what Kramer does up until maybe the end where you find out he's an actor, or like last few seasons. But remember, Tommy not having a job was so funny because in every black sitcom, black people's jobs. You know why Mr. Jefferson is rich, because of dry cleaning business. You know why, what Fresh Prince, what everybody does. You know what they do. And in white sitcoms, you just be watching. You don't know what everybody does or how they make so much money. You just don't question it. So when I watch sitcoms, it's very, where's the baby, or what does he do? What's his job? These are questions I ask. I watch a lot of black shows and sitcoms, like, you know, so you always have to answer that question. Living single, you know what they did. It's a big part of a black person's life to know their job, or where they're putting their kids. You have kids? Where's the baby? Whose mom was watching this baby? Mike Epps' show on Netflix, they have to explain where these kids are every episode. Like, otherwise, black people would check out.
Well, wasn't there the whole thing where Judy Winslow ends up getting written out of Family Matters because she walked
went
up
upstairs.
to her? Yeah, she went upstairs to the bedroom and just never came back.
She started doing porn. I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that. Yeah.
Look it up. Jamie Foxworth.
All right. Well, anyways, so Jake thinks this whole thing is a setup. He tells Amy and Holt, TJ, you okay over there?
Yeah, no, just processing.
My bad, TJ, my bad.
No, you, my guy, you're good. I just
spinning
like
head.
I've watched like a lot of like sitcoms. Now, granted, I've watched a bit of Martin. I grew up, I think, a little bit. Like my parents watched a lot of it, and so I would see it when they saw it, but they never like bought the DVDs. But like, oh my god, I never thought about that, about like the black sitcoms thing, because I never noticed that. Okay, sorry. That's such an interesting
no worries,
take.
guys. Honestly, this is great. It's a great take. So basically, Jake really wants to prove it. Holt doesn't want to do this. Jake decides he's going to bring in Diaz and Amy for the investigation. There is this really funny line in there, one of my favorite parts of these two episodes, where Amy says that she wants to run a half marathon, and Jake tells her to rot in hell. I thought that was hilarious.
I stand by it. I would say the same thing. One of my favorite lines of the episode. I thought it was great.
Yeah, that was so funny.
I ran a 5K one time, and a lady, she was beating me. She had a carriage and she was pregnant, and she was ahead of me, and I ruined her picture because I just started sprinting ahead of her at the finish line. I was like, I cannot let a pregnant lady with a baby carriage beat me in a 5K. It's very stressful. These organized runs.
I love the pettiness. I really do.
so great.
I love it.
It's so great.
Ain't going down. No.
Yeah, for sure. So we got Rob back with us, so we'll keep going with the storylines. And Rob, feel free to jump in wherever. So O'Sullivan, he ends up going to a bar. He's drinking with Diaz and with Amy, and they keep swapping out because they keep getting so drunk, and O'Sullivan will not get drunk at all. I love how they keep referencing O'Sullivan's blackmail, and he goes to Holt and he goes, "I'm going to tell everybody that you're gay," and he's like, "Yeah, that happened in the first episode of this series, buddy. Like, no worry. Like, I've been out for 30 years." Which I thought was so great. And then he goes to Rosa. He's like, "I'm gonna tell everybody you're a bisexual," and he's like, "Beat to it, man." Oh, so funny. Rob, go ahead.
And Rosa's not even a police officer anymore.
Yes.
Exactly. What's he telling her that for? Get out of here.
Yeah, she's a PI.
Honestly, I thought that was a great beat for the episode. It cracked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Such a charismatic bad guy.
Perfect casting.
Yeah. So it's almost like Leonardo DiCaprio in Django. He's just so charming. Like, even as a slave master, he's like, ah. But yeah, Police Union, man, he was really, I don't know. He's so like, I felt him on a lot of those plot points and him protecting Jake. And I kind of wanted Jake to just chill, man, and listen to the Union man for a second. But I think it's going what TJ was suggesting earlier, where Jake is. Anyway, let me not get back into that. But yeah, I think I'm feeling more of what TJ was setting up with maybe Jake leaving the force type thing.
Well, this is actually a perfect time to discuss it. So let me just wrap up what happens with the story, which basically it turns out that the reason that O'Sullivan threatened Amy had nothing to do with this whole plot. They all thought that O'Sullivan planted the guy there at the lot. It wasn't really that thing. O'Sullivan had actually just threatened Amy earlier, and he was going to steal all this candy, which is our B plot of the night, which we'll get into. But basically, it turns out that they didn't set him up. Jake had been following and tailing this guy and gets charged with intimidation charges. Holt is extremely displeased, is the word that he uses. But basically, O'Sullivan comes in and says that the department is going to settle and Jake will get off. And Holt gets very, very upset. He finally gets huffy that Jake isn't getting punished. Jake decides to apologize and take full responsibility. He ends up saying he's sorry, which really upsets O'Sullivan. And turns out that Jake ends up getting suspended for 5 months. So this is a major turning point in the season, which is now more than halfway through. We got 4 episodes to go, and now Jake is no longer working for the 9-9. This is a pretty crazy storyline we get to see here.
Yeah, again with my pettiness, is that 5 months without pay? What does that mean? He has a baby. Like, they never said. I'm sorry, I can't watch shows and not know how people are making their money, man. It's hard for me.
Amy's really good at budgeting and saving. I'm sure that she'll handle the finance stuff. Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah.
I love how y'all don't panic about money.
Not for them. Not for them.
Actually, Jake's finances in the show make literally no sense. I think in an earlier episode, he says he paid $2,000 for something, and Amy's just like, "What?" And I was just like, "That'd be a major, like, that's like a really serious thing."
If I spend $2,000 like that.
Just a surprise, like $2,000.
Yeah, he has like the Joey Tribbiani syndrome of just paying for things that he can't afford.
The suspended for 5 months. I'm like, okay, are they gonna time?
Wait, TJ, tell me where this is going. Give me your theory. Where is this going now? He's been suspended for 5 months.
They're either gonna give us an episode showing us what the 5 months looks like, or this is gonna lead to Jake thinking about his position in the 9-9. In the 9-9. But who knows?
Okay, Rob, what about you? What's your theory on where this is going with Jake?
I truly have no idea, because every time I think that, like, of course, as soon as it happened, I had 10 possibilities in my head of, do they show him in the 5 months? Do they show, another precinct? Do they do something, one of those kind of one-off episodes where it's a whole, different cast to say like, oh, this is another precinct? Do they do, a mixture of that? Is it one episode that he's gone? Is it the rest of the series? There's a ton of different directions that I could see them taking it. But I truly don't know. But I thought both of their points.
Well, make a call. I want to hear what you think. Where is this going to go? You have to write this.
Okay. He will leave the force to write a movie.
Okay.
Huh? Not bad, right?
That's good. That's good.
Good, Rob.
I like it.
Thank you. Pretty
good.
I can see why you run an improv troupe, Rob. I got it.
We'll see.
Yeah. Sean, what about you? Where is this going with Jake?
Yeah, speaking of, I'm gonna have to use my word. Just to piggyback off of what these gentlemen, that's when you know somebody don't know what they're talking about. Just to piggyback off of what these gentlemen are saying. I don't have enough history with Jake. I thought this was something that happens often. I watched a few recaps. I like him leaving or like being suspended, or because it's just threatened so much, and it was so kind of nonchalant from Holt that I didn't know that it would, maybe lead to something tremendous. But I would love that. I would love for him to be some type of consultant on a show or whatever. Like they use detectives. I think for what's that show? Law and Order. They use like guys who have real experience with law enforcement to help with those shows. So maybe it does something like that, or maybe I don't know. That's what we've been watching the whole time. That's horrible. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's okay. And we have Monette, one of our listeners in the chat, says her theory for the finale is that Jake is going to end up leaving the force to become a stay-at-home dad. Amy heads up the new program at the NYPD and rising the administrative ranks. So that could definitely be.
You did it.
Too.
Yeah, good call, Monette.
That could work too.
Yeah, for sure. So the B plot that we got for this episode was the whole thing about Terry versus Boyle with the candy for their kids. And then Scully refuses to buy because he's already bought from Boyle's kid. Boyle ends up bringing sand to Scully, thinks that it was Terry's fault. Terry ends up bringing apples to Scully. Scully says he's a sick son of a bitch. They get into an apple fight, and Boyle ends up whipping an apple at Terry's mouth, which broke Terry's mouth. Turns out O'Sullivan took all the snacks. Anything here, guys, that you want to comment on from this B plot we got for tonight?
This was the true dramatic plot of the episode right here. I felt so bad for Scully when he was fed sand And this, I think, honestly, the true dramatic performance of this episode goes not to Andre Brower. I think it goes to the actor who plays Scully. This is where my heart went out to Scully. I'm kidding, of course, but like, I'm not gonna lie, I felt kind of bad for Scully. Like they really were nice to him this whole episode.
He's really hard to hate. He's such a the thing about this is a running thing of, I guess, this season too. One of the things is when there is the serious driven part of the show. I think this is probably just for like comedies in general, when they switch back and forth and you get invested in the realness that the other one almost comes off as silly, where normally if it was a regular A plot, that would fit in perfectly. But because of the two differing levels of seriousness, I just was waiting to go back to the original one. But it's almost unfair of me to say, because if that was an episode from season 3 with you added that into some episode somehow, I would have been like, this is hilarious. I love this. But yeah, that's more on my own interpretation or reflection on it than it is about whether it was actually funny. I bet I'll rewatch this, 20 times, and I will die laughing now that I, know what's coming.
For sure. Sean, what about you?
I didn't. You clarified it for me, John, when you said it was their kids, because I thought this was a cop thing. But now that you put it in that context, I remember those things when I was in elementary school, and I wish my mom was that into helping me out at her job. But all I could get was the jump rope. There was different tiers. And you could get like a Sega Genesis, if you sold like $1,000, $10,000 worth of candy. So it's cool to see parents that into those fundraiser drives. But I do think that the plot point was just like kind of an excuse for them to do the physical gags. I will say that, somebody watches Three Stooges, a lot of physical comedy. There's ways to escalate that. And I think Terry did that bit with the water against Amy's nemesis in I think it was episode 4.
The hot dud.
The water, the water in the crotch thing, so there was, he could have did something else with the physical bits if we was gonna, the apple to the head was cool, breaking his jaw, but there's ways to escalate physical comedy, but it was fun, man. It was cool. Now that I know that there was context with the kid drive, I remember those and I have nightmares.
Yeah.
Jump rope for heart, right?
I did that too.
That's what it was. I thought that was
jump
a
rope for heart.
thing. They do that everywhere.
It's everywhere. Oh yeah,
I have that too.
Wow.
Even up in Canada. Look at that.
Yeah, up in Canada. Yeah, for sure.
What is jump rope for? What is that?
Yeah,
TJ?
28.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same age. We had to go door to door and raise money, and then we did like a jump rope thing at school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't do that, but I remember those programs where it was like you either gave the kid like a big box of candy and they would have to sell the candy for like $1. It was in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, those long candies, and only one.
No, it was like
good.
No, it was like M&Ms and Reese's and stuff. Like the kid would get like a big box of like 40 different candies, and they would have to sell that. Or I remember they would have like a whole assembly, and they would like this is how dark it is. They would get the kids really excited by the prizes. I remember I had this very strong memory in my head of like there was this thing. It was like a monkey, and you would put like your fingers in the monkey's paws, and like you would like the monkey would like act like a slingshot, and like you would like sling the monkey all the way across the auditorium. And I remember they did that, and the kids like went crazy, and they were like, "Do you want to know how to like get these like how to get the monkey and all these like crazy toys? All you guys got to do is like, talk to your parents and like sell stuff." And I
support your family.
All I remember is my mom, like, I think she took it to work like once or twice, but like, as you grow up, you realize, oh my gosh, this is just a way to get the parents to do all the work. This is so terrible.
Nothing,
yeah.
Yeah, for
Kids
sure.
Can't take that kind of rejection, man. You can't. I see some kids out there hustling, but one boy tried to charge me $5 for a bag of Skittles, regular bag. I was like,
Nope.
hey, bro, I'll donate to you, but you can't. Don't come at me like that, man. I'm a grown man. That's disrespect. You marking stuff up clearly. There's no way they told you to sell that for $5, man.
$5 for a pack of Skittles. He's like, hey man, I got expenses, bro.
Oh man, but he called me brother, so that's the trick. He said, "Hey brother," I said, "Oh, now you got my attention, young man."
Hey man, you know that's a trap. Like when a black man says brother to you, you gotta count the brothers a black man says to you, and say, "Hey brother, let me talk to you for a second. Hey, can I borrow $50, brother? Let me holler at you for a second. You gotta watch for that. You gotta watch.
That's a lot of money, man. What you? Too many brothers, too much money.
Well, no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm learning. That's what's fun about doing this stuff is I get to learn. So
for the listeners, the look on John and Rob's face, priceless.
It's great. We'll screen cap that for you, TJ. So let's talk ratings for tonight. Give me a letter grade for what you've seen for the 2 episodes tonight, TJ.
Oh, can I give I had a couple of favorite
go
lines.
For it. Yeah.
All right. 3 things. 1, when Charles says playful butt bounce, I just thought that was really funny. Rosa is a nun. Can't believe we didn't talk about that. That happened. Rosa was a nun. That was great. And also, this is just for the Scrubs fan out there like myself, hearing John C. McGinley say all the best. For those who don't know, as Scrubs fans, that was like something that Dr. Cox would always say when he would kind of like verbally serve someone, and he would say that. So I don't know if the actor does that in every role he does, but like this is the only other role I've seen him in besides that. Like this is the only other role I've like seen him prominently in a while. So when he said all the best, I like got a gig. I was like, oh my God, it's Dr. Cox. Oh, I just love it. Okay. And if I had to give these episodes a rating, honestly. Jake sliding across the car with the outfit change montage took this from a C- to a C+ for me. But the Pontiac Bandit episode is like a C+. Like it's too dour for me, honestly. I love Craig Robinson, but I feel like this is the worst Pontiac Bandit episode. And maybe I need to rewatch them all. Yeah. And then for episode 6,
give it to me, TJ.
B- maybe. These weren't strong episodes for me.
Okay, that's fair. Rob, let me head over to you. Letter grades.
I would also go with a C+ for the Doug Judy episode. Be more because of the wanting him to have, not having to be a fugitive. I wish that there was a happier ending, and I think if they could have done it maybe in a different way, that almost pulled him in more to the larger social issues that they were talking about. I think he could have been a bigger part of that. And still, if this was going to be the ending, they could have done a little bit more of that in this episode. But I'm not a writer for the show, so it's not my call, unfortunately. But C+ for that one. For the second episode, I would say B+, almost not exclusively because of the sort of the monologue with Holt at the end, but that very much factored into it. One of the things that I think will be interesting to look back on is I bet someone at some point will make a YouTube supercut of all of the serious monologues from this season. And I would love to hear, because everything I'm sure was written to the word to perfectly represent what they were trying to show. And so many, Jake being the person that's willing to say he made a mistake and he'd be sorry. If only that happened in the real world.
Yeah.
So
B+ on that alone.
Okay. Sean, over to you.
All right, guys. Now, here's the trick. If you're going to be somebody that doesn't know a lot on an expert podcast, you have to make hard stances, Stephen A. Smith style. So I'm going A+ on the Doug Judy episode. A+. I'm disagreeing with the experts off straight passion. And then I'm going C on episode 6 because that seems like, it was good. It was maybe C+. It was good. But I didn't, it was a little weaker than it wasn't as fun. And my bad, I lost my passion.
It's all good. It's all good.
6 was good. 6 was
I will not be Skip Bayless. I am not Skip Bayless.
I'll be Max Kellerman. I'll come
Right,
in with the next. Yeah, exactly. So,
Sean, if you're going to be Stephen A. Smith, you have to say, look, Andy Samberg is one of my best friends.
That's my man. I know. Say Andy Samberg.
I love
Andy Samberg. No disrespect.
He's one of my best friends.
No disrespect whatsoever, TJ. Okay. Look.
I love it.
That's amazing. So for me, like, look, I know you want me to take a hard stance, Sean. I really felt like these were average episodes. I felt like maybe I'm gonna go like maybe B-. I don't know for the first one. Probably B+ for the second one. I really felt like what we got in the first 2 episodes of the season, that was some A material. I love the stuff that we got. That first episode was amazing. When they all went up to the cottage, that was really great. Last week it was okay, and this week it was okay. I'm still waiting for that. Like, I feel like we're on the downslope, and now we're making our way back up. And I'm really hoping that these last 4 episodes of the season are going to be really great. Like we said, we're looking for a heist. We're looking for some Gina action. So all these things might come in the final 4 episodes, and I look forward to it.
It'll never happen, Nicole. I'm calling out Nicole specifically. If Gina will not show up, you need to take your hopes and put them in a jar, Nicole. I want all the smoke, all of it.
Yeah. Well, this is going to carry way into the SNL season, your rivalry, TJ and Nicole. So we'll see what happens with that. I hope we do get a Gina episode. Joe asked in the chat. I really hope we do get one. So nothing announced yet, but my hope is we will see her at some point, despite what TJ says. TJ, can you tell us where people can reach out to you?
Absolutely. You can follow me at King Compliment on Instagram and TikTok, and I also occasionally do little skits and sketches. And I also have an old podcast called Team Trashcast, where me and some friends talked about what life was like in our 20s. It was primarily during the pandemic. You can follow us at Team Trashcast on Instagram and TikTok. And I also have an upcoming podcast called Rabbit Trail that we're going to be releasing very soon, probably a little bit after Lil Nas X drops his album. We're going to be announcing that probably maybe the next time one of the times I show up on SNL Stats, but I'm really looking forward to releasing that project.
Yeah, for sure. And we're still going to get you on Twitter. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen. Sean, can you believe this guy is not on Twitter? It's unbelievable.
It'll never happen. It will never happen. And plus, I can't get King Compliment. I think some European guy has King Compliment.
We'll find something good for you.
No.
Yeah.
This is peer pressure. The listeners, I want you to know John is peer pressuring me.
Yeah. Rob.
So one thing, I swear I did not plan this.
Are you King Compliment?
Quit Twitter like 2 days ago.
Did you
really?
I was
like, I'm done. Yeah, because I was just, every time I would scroll through it, I was like, this sucks. So I just
Bravo.
I put in an arc. I requested my arc because I want to have like all my tweets and stuff, and then I want to delete the account just forever, and then just live on Instagram and look at pictures. So don't go on Twitter. If you get in a time machine and go back to 2012, it was great then when it wasn't everybody yelling about politics all the time.
Yes.
Then it would be great. But
you're just not following the right people.
Oh, I follow too many already. I'll stick to Instagram and look at pretty pictures of their vacations.
There we go.
That's
Instagram. Where is that?
All right. So Rob, where can we see your vacation pics? Plug your
on at Robert J. Finn, Robert.J.Finn. The person who owns at Robert J. Finn is also me, but I don't know the password for the account, and I don't have the access to the email to reset it. So I'm stuck with the dots. And also, last thing, TJ, when you are alienating someone, your alter ego can be King Alienate. You can use that. It's what I heard. Was your rep. So I'd like
food for thought. Did Nicole send Rob with a message?
Think about it. No, I heard it and I was like, King Alienate. That sounds good. Same amount of syllables.
I love that Nicole has a presence even when she's not here.
Yes, for sure. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. It was so great to hear from you. You are hilarious, and I cannot wait to talk SNL with you all throughout the SNL season. Where can people reach out to you and plug all your shows for the listeners?
Man, thank you guys for having me, man. You know, yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at I am Sean Grant. You know, see some videos there. Also at the Hypothetical Debate Show has an Instagram, and I've had Dwayne Perkins, not Dwayne Perkins, who's a executive producer on the show, who I did JFL with. It's very funny. But Dwayne Perkins, the other one from Comedy Central, Netflix special, he's on there. JC Karias, Ron Taylor, 10 episodes. So check that out, the Hypothetical Debate Show. But yeah, if you're in LA, come check me out, the Laugh Factory, this weekend, and catch me next week at the Haha Cafe in North Hollywood.
For sure, buddy. I can't wait to finally get a chance to come check out one of your shows one day. So I'm looking forward to it. For everybody who would like to follow what we are doing, you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at SNL Stats. You can subscribe to us on YouTube or on any podcatcher to make sure you never miss any of our shows. And for everything that is happening on SNL Stats, we have Brooklyn Nine-Nine coverage happening every single Thursday. Next week will be episodes 7 and 8, Thursday night at the same time, 9/9/15. I will not be there. I will actually be traveling for a family event all the way to Chicago. It's my first time in the States in a long time. So I'm looking forward to coming down to see some family over there. And we will have Andrew Haskell jumping in to host that show next week with a panel. So I look forward to seeing him live on YouTube at the same time next week. I just do want to plug our interview that we did this month with Siobhan Fallon. She was a cast member who was on SNL in the 90s, and she is on a new movie called Rushed, which comes out tomorrow, which would be August 27th. So definitely check out that film, Rush. We spoke to Siobhan all about that film and her experience on SNL, Seinfeld, 30 Rock, Holes, Forrest Gump, Men in Black, so many hits. So she is amazing to hear from. We also next week have a superfan takeover coming. So we have the superfans who are coming on in. I think they're going to be talking about predictions every single August, July. People are just throwing out predictions for the show, for SNL. They're saying, okay, this cast member is not going to come back, or this person's going to host next season. And they're going to be talking about their favorite predictions that they have heard over the last however many years about SNL, that whether they turned out to be true or not. It'll be a very special superfan takeover talking all about predictions. So check that out, coming out this coming Tuesday. So for TJ, for Rob, and for Sean, I just want to thank you all for joining us. My name is Jon Schneider. You can find me at Jon Schneider 24 on any social media. And I will see you next time, guys. Have a great week ahead. Thanks for joining us.